What's up everybody, this is Derek here and welcome to a new series on this channel called PUBG Mobile Tips, Tricks, and Myths. So in the series we're going to be taking a look at some tips and tricks that aren't big enough to make their way into their own video, however are definitely still useful to know, and we'll also be either confirming or busting some myths. So we'll jump right into it with our first myth, and that is you swim faster swimming backwards than forwards. So obviously huge implications here if you have to swim across a long distance in the game. And to test this, it's not going to be the most scientific, however, it should be good enough for our purposes. We're in training mode. I started on the left side of the boat and I'm going to go ahead and swim out to this island with the target on it and see how long it takes. So we're swimming forwards here. This is obviously easier. It's easier to look around. It's easier to kind of orient which way you want to swim. However, if there is an advantage in swimming backwards, then maybe it's worth the trade-off of it being more difficult to look around and aim. So there we go. We reached the island, and for the purposes of this video, I got around 34.7 seconds or so, just under 35 seconds. So if you want to pause the video and do that on your own with a like a smartphone or a stopwatch, you can do that and make sure that I indeed read the timer correctly. So now we're doing the exact same thing. We're swimming backwards. We're not aiming for the exact same point on the island. However, if there is a difference, if there's like say a 10% difference, then that would be a 3 or 4 second change over 34 seconds. So, there should be enough of a difference for us to tell, even if I'm not hitting the exact same point on the island. So there we go. Boom. We just hit it there and we're glitching a little bit. And I got 34.75 seconds. So very, very similar to the first one, and doesn't look like there's any noticeable difference in swim speed. However, when you're swimming backwards, it is a lot more difficult to aim because you're using your look tool or your free look tool to be able to orient yourself towards the target, and then you're swimming backwards, so the controls are reversed. So definitely not as easy. And if there is any swim speed advantage, it is at most only 1 or 2%, at least in my testing. So we're going to say that is busted. If you have a different experience, definitely leave it in the comments below if I did something wrong, or if you know of a faster way to swim, because swimming is not fun in this game. So that is our first part of the video. Next, we're going to jump into a tip, and this is one that I've had a number of people ask me about. So since the 0.5.0 update, your 8x scope is actually an adjustable 8 to 4x scope. And you do that by hitting the little adjust button there. You can see I'm using L1R1 triggers on this phone, so my fire button is very close to where this adjustable button is. However, I'm still able to hit it fairly easily. And you can see there's a guy with a grenade who knocks me off target right at the last second, of course. So you can see that adjust right near my fire button, upper right hand part of the screen. That is what you want to tap, and that allows you to switch between 4 and 8 times. So I think we'll go ahead and hit that now. You can see we're back up to 8 times, and this has huge implications. And what's cool is you can also stop in the middle. So if you want 5 times or 6 times or 7 times or whatever, you can kind of tailor that scope to your needs. So that is why 8x scopes are by far the best in the game. And if you have an 8x scope, unless you want a backup for your other weapon, I don't recommend holding onto a 4x because it's just taking up space, because the 4x is pretty redundant once you have an 8x now. So that's a tip. And now we're going to be talking about a trick. So you can see here how I am swapping scopes. You can swap attachments. Did you know you can swap weapon slots though? So now my Groza is in the primary weapon slot and my M24 is in the secondary one. And there aren't a ton of reasons why you'd want to do this. However, it's very interesting that you can. And the biggest reason, honestly, is because when you're switching to your primary weapon, it moves over your head, and that makes you very visible in the grass if you're proning. If you switch to your secondary weapon, however, you can actually move to it. You pull it out from the side. So basically, when you swap to your secondary weapon, you don't move it over your head, which means that when you're prone in the grass, people can't see you moving your weapon. Whereas if you're swapping your primary weapon, the one in the first slot, the M24 right now, it's going to go over the back of your head when you swap it to your other one. And that makes it very visible when you're in the grass and you're proning in those final circles. So I'll probably bring this up again. There's another grenade, yay. I'll probably bring this up again when we're talking about final circle gameplay and stuff, because it's super important there. However, for the purposes of this video, it's neat if you want to organize, if you're one of those people who always likes their sniper rifle in the first position, if it's a little easier to tap that. Depending on where those buttons are on your screen, you could do it for that reason. Or, like I said, the more important one I think is when you are proning, you are able to then very easily switch your weapons to the secondary one without having that weapon move over your head, giving away your position. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this first episode of PUBG Mobile tips, tricks, and myths. If you did, definitely give it a thumbs up to help grow the channel, and consider subscribing if you haven't already for tons more PUBG Mobile content. If you have any ideas for future videos, definitely leave them in the comments below. And otherwise, I hope to see you on the battlefield soon, or in the Discord, which I'll also leave a link to down below.